You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Found out I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became. Good morning. Good morning. It is 32222. 32222. Good morning. This is your Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. I am your host, Ariana, aka Divine Moon Goddess. And this morning show is brought to you by Divine Moon Goddess Healers and Readings.com, where all of your questions get answered. And you have a couple more days to jump on that 30% off for a one-on-one session to get your life right with me. For the rest of the month, remember to pay attention when you are booking, as there is another person on my website. So you want to click with Divine Moon Goddess, but you have a couple more days to get that in and get the 30% off using code Fresh Start 222. We are also sponsored by Shanti Rentals Inc. And if you want to sponsor the morning show, or you're looking to advertise on my morning show, information is in the description on where to go, who to contact, and all of that good stuff. Okay. I probably should share my own shit out, right? Where's my phone at? I don't know where my phone is at. I have no idea where my phone is at. Good morning, Sasha. Normally I'm super late, right? And it's all good. I want to say we're on Tuesday. I think today is Tuesday, right? I got to share this out. Hopefully everyone's having a good start to their weeks. I did not get to do the meditation yesterday. Yesterday was a busy day for me, but I will have the meditation up and running for next week. Okay, so just know that. I know that I missed a day. And I know a lot of people really enjoy the meditation Mondays. But we will be back for next week. All right. What's going on? Who's got stuff? Let me see. I think kids are back in school, right? Finally, peace and quiet in the home. I think everybody's going back to normal this week from spring break and all the craziness. I know my house was loud, extra loud last week, and with the kids home. This is our last 2 weeks of March, you guys. So first quarter of the year is already done, basically. Where are you in the first quarter of your year? How close are you to hitting some targets and goals? Where are you in your life, right? Because some of you guys may be that new year, new me resolution shit. I don't do that. Every day is a plan to wake up and do better. I don't do the new year, new me. Good morning, Melly. Good morning, Michelle. But where are you with your goals and your plans? I do have goals for 2022. I keep talking about my nonprofit, which is coming. Right now, I'm in the works of creating the name, as the name is always hard for me to create names. I don't know. I get very stumped at creating names. So if you guys got some beautiful names that Spirit sends you, just put it in my inbox and let me know. And the nonprofit is really, you guys know, doing what I do and taking it on a grander scale to help help people heal, help people find healing without the woohoo bullshit that people put on spirituality, and really, handling in tackling traumas and grief. The two biggest things we work with, people just think we're tarot readers, and they're just like, oh, you guys just read tarot. And it's like, no, we do a lot of counseling. We do a lot of fucking especially me. I don't know how other tarot readers work, but I know me. Mine is a tarot slash counseling slash life planning sessions when you do one-on-ones with me. And so we want to take that and really move it to helping people. A lot of people think they're crazy when they're not crazy. A lot of people are just beautifully gifted and don't know how to work their empathic abilities. And if they just learn how to do that, then they won't be so affected and overly sensitive all the time if they learn how to do that. So there's a lot in the mission that we're creating, me and some beautiful ladies that have teamed up with me. So be looking out for the nonprofit, as Divine Moon Goddess Healers and Readings will be switching over to that. So where we will help less fortunate folks, of course, and those who come. Good morning, Crystal. Exactly. You just got a good morning, Katrina. You just got to wake up and say, you know what, today I'm going to do better. And if you set that intention, my intention is to always do better every day, is to be a better person than what I was yesterday. Oh, I gotta post you on there. But see, it's stuff like this that we do as even tarot readers or mediums. Even mediums are grief counselors. You as a medium, if you're a medium, you're a grief counselor. You help people work through grief because it's some of the questions that maybe your traditional therapist can't give you. Most people will tell you they're in a better place. They're in heaven. And I can tell you that's not always the fucking case. So getting the truth behind, and I want to say partial truth, because I don't care how gifted the medium is. We don't get all the answers of what's going on in the spirit world. We're not all privy to everything. And I don't believe that any medium has all of the answers, but we definitely can get the information to see if your person is good, if they're in a not so nice space, in helping people work through grief. That's one of the biggest things. So it's definitely bringing what we do to a grander scale, and having tarot readers understand that they're important. What they do is important. It's not just a bullshit job. It actually is a career. So a lot of tarot readers and mediums get a lot of slack. Oh my God, it's the crazy medium lady. you know, so it's kind of just really changing the game. I'm excited about that. Plus, integrating with the platform on the classes. You guys know I have a lot of classes. I'm not doing any live classes till later this year, but you can still go and learn. Go under my shop. Changing to the new teaching platform is going to be awesome, and inviting other people who have their own classes to join the site to display their classes. We have a list of beautiful classes to bring to the table. So I'm excited to what's to come. And this is something that Spirit is truly behind me. So it makes it even better. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Sana. Good morning, Matai. You are so welcome, Debbie. You know what? And I know I don't say God like a lot of people say. I believe in creator energy. I believe in the energy that created us. And it's only because in my path, I've seen that we are energy. We are not these just these ghostly 3D versions of ourselves that go off to heaven with God. We are these energetic fields. We are, that combine. And I believe in creator energy. The intelligence behind it is fucking crazy. It's things that we can't wrap our minds around. Basically, we can't wrap our human mind around. And I definitely feel like when we come to this earth to change, and I definitely am a person with a purpose. I believe in my purpose. I believe that I came here to change some things. I may not change the world, but I definitely am going to impact the people that come my way. And that's something that I came, kind of stood in this last couple of years, like I say, a spiritual soldier, but I'm here doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I think it's beautiful. This path can be crazy. It can be up and down. But what I've learned is amazing. I cannot say it enough what I've learned in this path, not just about others, but myself. When I look at different things that I used to be very judgmental about, I'm not judgmental about those things. I understand it deeper. I understand there's always different sides to everything that you can think about, even to the extent of karma playing its role in our lives and how karma looks, and it's just been a game changer. Is sitting in this seat, and I love it. I absolutely love what I do. And I think when you can find something that you love what you do, it is no longer work. That's what your purpose is. Your purpose is you love it. So it's not work, even though you get your burnout days. It's not like I don't get my burnout days and I'm not tired and I don't get frustrated. It's not none of that. But for the majority of it, I love what I do. So that's a game changer. Hell yeah. Good morning, Heather. That energy is around us all the time. We're never disconnected from God. If you think you're disconnected from God energy, that's not. It's not true. We're always connected. We're interconnected, with everything around us, the trees, the plants, the air, everything, all of it interlocks in some way. Good morning, Lashina. Good morning, Stacy. So, when you switch your perception, because it is all about perception, it's the way you see things. You could choose to see the beauty in life, right? You could choose to see your creator energy, or you could choose to be disconnected from that energy and feel alone and feel, left out. So it's all about how you perceive this life, and that we are all born with gifts. I'm not more special than anyone. I've just chosen to do something with my gifts. You can open yours. Also, I say this all the time. I learned how to open my mediumship. That wasn't something that I just did my whole life. And I always saw ghosts. Now I did see shadows when I was a kid, and I didn't understand what that was, right? But I never saw a ghost like a full body person in a ghost. It was just different. I see the traumatic side of people. I always have. I've always been connected to the soul, the shadow, right? That's just a part of my gifts. Everyone's gifts fine tunes to them, right? But we all have particular gifts. We all have our intuition. We all have a higher self. We all have these teams that are behind us, whether it's your ancestors, whether it's your guides, spirit guides, whoever it is, it's on your team. It's just about you unlocking it and understanding it, that they are here, that this energy is real, and not just passing it off as coincidence. Oh, that's a coincidence. That's a coincidence. Your perception, right? I'm one of those people who like to see miracles, and I like to believe. And so because I believe, I get messages very clearly from my father, who's been passed. He's been gone since 2008. That's a pretty long time. I can't remember. Is it 13 years now? 14 years? 14 years now. So, I get the messages from him, and I get to hear him from times where if I was closed-minded, I wouldn't get any of that. I would just not be able to. And I love the fact that there's times where it's random that I will hear his voice and I'll be like, oh shit, hey dad, you're here, So it's a thing of just learning how to open your gifts. A lot of in the beginning, you guys know, if you've done a class with me, it's teaching the little stuff. It's the subtle things. Everyone wants fireworks and fucking, everyone wants paranormal activity with closets and shit opening. The spirit has to be able to master that to be able to open doors and shit like that. Okay. If it was that easy, everybody's house would have doors and cabinets fucking opening and closing. It's not that easy. Okay. So it's like the subtle shit that's around you. Even angels, when they're speaking to us, they speak to us with numbers and other signs and symbols. You got to get to know the angel to understand the way they speak to you. I talk about Archangel Metatron, who was always around me speaking to me, but I didn't understand it because he spoke to me through energy and shapes. I didn't understand that those were what I was seeing and why I was seeing it energetically. Scratching your nose is one of them. I always say my dad used to grab my nose a certain way when I was a kid. and it irritated the fuck out of me when I was a kid, and he thought it was the funniest thing. And then I wasn't realizing that I was grabbing my nose the same way, and it was him the whole time, like, "Hey, I'm right here." But we go clueless of not even understanding that our people are, "Hey, I'm trying to let you know I'm right here by the things that I did to you, or when I was alive." And so if you're not paying attention, if you're just clueless to everything, you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna see it. I got this hair on me, and I'm not feeling it. Yeah, and butterflies are a huge thing from anything. It could be spirit, it could be just, butterflies are hugely known for transformation. It's a harsh transformation sometimes, but it could be death also because the butterfly can symbol death. When I was pregnant with my first daughter, I was in the early stages of pregnancy, and I had a beautiful butterfly, this blue butterfly. I will never forget it. I had this butterfly fly right in front of my face, and then it just dropped to the floor and died. And I was like, and I always loved butterflies. So for me, that was like very sad to see and experience. And then I did end up losing my daughter 3 weeks after she was born. So sometimes these creatures are coming to give us answers, and they're coming to give us messages, and we don't understand it. We don't look into it. We just brush it off like, damn, that was weird. Because I remember saying that, like, that was fucking weird as shit. The thing about it is your messages from your angels are your messages. Yes, a lot of people have information, but you need to look into it. The biggest thing about it is your teams, you need to do the work. It's not let me go to a psychic and they tell me everything. That's not how it goes. No, you need to look into it. You need to look up, what is this angel number? What is this angel message that I'm getting? Look it up, do the work, okay? You're only confused because you're overthinking it. That's where the confusion comes into it. We overthink everything as people, as humans. They hit you on the head, Lashina. Yeah. Butterflies mean a whole bunch of different things. You need to look it up and see what speaks to you. Everything that I do in my practice is intuitively looking it up, directive, because I allow spirit to direct me in that way. You have to start to trust that spirit is bringing you messages, and look it up and see, is this the message for me? Does this feel like it's the message for me, without letting your ego overthink every fucking thing, right? So, this morning, I digress. I start going to a whole nother show. All right. So this morning, I wanted to talk about womb healing. And womb healing, a lot of people think are just for women. And you guys that watch me, womb healing is not just for women. Womb healing is for men also, because you were incubated and created in the womb. Okay. Womb trauma is a thing. And if you guys have not done some type of womb trauma, that's where the ancestral curses lie. That's where the ancestral trauma. I like to say trauma versus curses, because I don't believe in curses. I believe people could wish you bad, but I don't believe in curses. I just don't. I think that there are some pretty powerful people out there that do their thing, but I just don't believe in it myself. And remember, you can create your reality. So if you believe in curses, then hey, you're cursed. Okay. If you believe that it could attack you and mess up your life, then hey, you've allowed that energy in and you've given it power. Everything we do in this life is about giving things power. I don't give things power. I definitely don't give curses power, and I don't give demons power or lower level energies power. None of them scare me, and I don't allow them in my home. I don't allow them in my energy. The most that they could do sometimes is fuck with me on my lives, and then they see that I don't give a shit there either. Okay. So you really have to stop giving energy and fear to things that really can't. I mean, they can create havoc if they really don't like your ass, but that's where you call on your angels for protection. That's where you call on your ancestors. And I always say this, if you really open your connection with your ancestors, you really don't have to worry, because they're protecting you also. You got to remember, you have a spiritual team. That's why they're here. So demons ain't lurking if your team is on deck. You really have to like change the way you see this. You're not alone. You got a spiritual team. And angels are protectors in this realm if you didn't understand that. Angels are not just connected to religion. Although they've been tied to religion for eons, they're not just religious angels. They're in this realm. You guys know there's different realms, and whether you believe in realms, dimensions, and all that, there's different ones. In this realm, angels are it. They're the big guys, they're the big guns. So call on them. Call on them for protection. Get to know those angels. You don't have to be religious. That's one of the misconceptions about it, because I thought you had to be religious to call on angels. And in 2020, they showed me, no, you don't. Archangel Michael stepped up for me at that time. Archangel Metatron was always there, but he was kind of making himself present. And there was a couple others that were kind of around me at the time. I think it was Raphael. That were making their presence known. It doesn't always have to be archangels either, but they are, they're there for a reason. You could call on them. So you gotta kind of understand that you have these beautiful energies. You don't have to be afraid of a lot of stuff. Now, does that mean that, because I have an angel, that I'm not gonna die? No, I can fucking walk out there and be shot, but because that angel's here, and you guys have seen some miracles, there's been some people that fucking have lived through some crazy shit that they should not have lived for. And the police, the doctors will be like, you shouldn't even be here right now. You should be gone. So we know that they do step in and help maybe when they're not supposed to, right? So we know that there's these miracles, but you have to get to this point. And I don't want to say you have to, because you actually don't got to do shit, but you got to understand that you're not here alone. So womb healing is the trauma through your line. If you think to creation, basically, think to creation eons ago, the first woman in your line, the trauma that's gone from womb to womb to womb to womb to womb to womb to womb. Okay. And it's not just the women may carry it, right? But men, you're sitting in it when you're incubating and you're this fetus growing. So womb trauma is very important to work through, even if you think you're good. I'm actually working on my own guided meditations, but there's a lady, I love her guided meditations. You guys know, if you know me, I've sent you some. There's this womb trauma one I did in 2020, and I did not realize how much shit was connected to me through my ancestors. I didn't realize my mom's trauma had been passed to me. Like, what the fuck? And that's the generational curses that we see. And it's been through, I can look back and I say, there's been about 6 generations of women that I know of that have all died single, miserable and single. Okay. Some people would be like, that's a generational curse. And it's not, it's generational trauma amongst the women of having this one relationship, that shit going terribly fucking wrong for whatever reason, and then never being able to heal after it, and then basically dying miserably and old. I'm not doing that. I'm changing the game for me. I'm not going to die miserable and old, but I almost did. Before this path, I was like, you guys know, I was like, fuck love, fuck marriage. I'm good all by myself. And I had lived decades as a single woman. I did 20 something years. 20 something years? Dang. I think I was like 21 in my last really real relationship, 21. And I'm 42. So yeah, it's like 20 years. So this is very, very, very strong. So all the healing that I do, and you guys know, when you're healing, you're not just healing for yourself, you're healing for others as well. Like the collective, especially women or men, when you're healing for the other men. You're healing for the collective of the masculine. Women, when you're healing for not just yourself and your generational line, you're also healing for the feminine collective energy. So it's a huge dynamic when we're healing. We are healing for not just ourselves, but for all of these other people that are interconnected to us, right? So womb healing is a lot. You know, when you start going into it, when you start looking at it, if you go into these meditative state, you're gonna see some shit that you're gonna be like, whoa, I didn't even know that that happened. My mom never even told me that happened, but you're going to see it. You're going to feel it. And that's something that's been embedded in the DNA. See, I believe our DNA has secrets of our lives and our generations. If you ever notice, that's why there's strands of inactive DNA. People don't really talk about it. Scientists are still trying to figure a lot out what dormant DNA is and all this stuff. And I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to act like I know, but it always was like, why do we have inactive DNA? You know, and DNA is this genetic code of our existence. It is. And so I believe there's a lot of stuff that lies in that DNA that we're just not privy to. Yeah. I will give me 2 seconds. I'll pop it in the comments right now. So this lady I came across back in I want to say I came across her back in late 2019. And I started, she had a Ho'oponopono forgiveness, self-love one that I came across, and I started to use that one. Matter of fact, that was in 2020, early 2020. And I started with that one. And she has quite a few of them that I have lived by, and I always share her out. I actually still want to work with her. She is actually based in Sedona, and she does a lot of womb healing, women empowerment, rape, molestation, all of that stuff. I've learned a lot from watching her, listening to her guided meditations and things like that. And I actually use her guided meditations in my healing circles a lot because of the power of what she's guided to do. So she's phenomenal at what she does. But it made me realize, listening to this womb healing, how much is in our DNA. There's another one that she has. It's the baby timeline. It takes you back to the womb. And I encourage you to go back and do that one as well, because that one actually takes you to the womb and you see some pretty crazy shit of what your mom went through in the womb space. And you're like, oh shit. I didn't realize that my mom, like, I didn't realize some of the trauma that my mom had when she was pregnant with me. Makes fucking sense. Okay. And in these meditations, that's why I believe in meditative state healing. That's why I'm an energetic healer. This is why I also offer meditation one-on-one sessions to go into meditation and start healing these parts of us that need to be healed. That's why I believe it. This is why I stand by it. You know, tarot is just a piece of what I do. I love the energetic healing. You know what? I don't know. But Divergent, you can look her up and go to her website and read more about her. So I mean, she's based in Sedona, Arizona, and she's phenomenal. I've watched pretty much all of her fucking videos. And I had wanted to link up with her last year when I went to Sedona, but she actually was in a different state, doing a healing retreat at the time. So it wasn't time for me to link up with her. But I actually want to link up with her to study, and do some sessions and study with her. So that's the womb healing video that I just popped in the comments, you guys. I'm also going to I'm going to pop in the baby timeline one. Her name is Sandra Rolas. And the baby timeline is the one that I realized that one had me crying in that one, because that one I had saw when I was in the womb and some things that happened when I was in the womb. And so it made sense of some of the trauma that goes passed on. Good morning, Evelyn. So I've done literally all of her guided meditations. If you've been to my healing circle and you've done some guided meditations, she probably was one of the ones that we were playing in the healing circles. All of like 2020, she was my go-to. I still send her videos to people after my one-on-one videos, because I did her womb healing one for 4 days. You guys know I talk about the vag cleanse, and I talk about the cutting ties with exes cleanse, the yoni steam cleanse. it's all rolled into one. I did a 4-day one in 2020. I really wanted to get cut cord on exes and the trauma with exes and all that stuff. And so I listened to it every day for 4 days. And it took 4 days to clear my womb. It took 4 days to just really get in there and clear. And it's crazy because my ancestors were on point. They showed up to assist me. And we were clearing and cleaning and restoring the womb. And it was phenomenal of what I saw in that meditation. But I did have to do it 4 days. You may not be able to do it in one sitting. And the video is about 40 something minutes long. You may not be able to do it in one sitting. You may have a lot of trauma that you need to clear up. You know what? The thing about it is, I didn't realize I was going to see that. It says baby timeline, so it takes you back, but I didn't know we were going to go back to the womb. And um, I did, see, some stuff. But I also realized this thing I did as a kid to protect myself. I realized because you got to, if you go into quantum healing or any time of quantum stuff, right, you understand that time and space doesn't really exist outside of this reality, right? And so you realize that in that moment, I realized that there was something that I was doing in that moment that would assist me as a child, even though that doesn't sound, it's like the time travel kind of concept, right? Something that I was doing now that would affect the child, and the child would remember that and put that into place as a protective thing. And so I was crying because I had this aha moment of how dimensions work and how these versions of us are still very much alive and living. We think it's the past. And this is why people can't get away from the past, because it's still existing somewhere in time and space. And so you can rack your brain about this shit all day long. Some people don't fucking care about it. Some people don't believe it. Some people are like, yeah, no, it's the past. It already happened. But your past is, for me, in my belief system, what I've come to realize is your past is still existing somewhere. That little boy, little girl, little baby is still existing in that energy. And so this is why when you're doing healing and you're going through healing and you're going through these moments, you are repairing and changing the energy. You're changing the energy, even though it's already happened with you. Even though you've already gone through it, you still can go back and assist these children that are still living in the shit. When I first started to do healing with my 5-year-old self, when I went into the meditative state healing, was hiding behind a chair, scared, alone, hiding behind a chair. It made me cry. I don't remember my childhood, and I didn't go back to memories. All I did is I went back and I was like, the facilitator, she's a beautiful facilitator. Cynthia Glickman, you've seen her here on my show. She took me, now she didn't take me, she just was guiding me. I went back to this childhood version that was hiding and I'll never forget it, because she was in this little ball, hiding behind a chair and scared. And she did not trust me, of course, because I hadn't showed up for her. There's a lot of these mistakes, and we don't show up for ourselves as adults. So our younger versions don't trust us. They don't trust us because we haven't shown up. So when I saw my childhood version, I was like, damn, I was crying, and I was sending her love and telling her that I'm here now, I'm changing. We're not gonna hurt anymore. We're not gonna allow no one to hurt us. She didn't have to be afraid. And it took a minute to get her to like open up to me and give me a hug and just let me hold her. When you see this, it does do something to you, because you're like, oh shit, I didn't realize that, this was it. I didn't realize that this is what I was going through. Even if you can't remember your childhood, there's pieces in meditation that will come, you don't have to remember it. It's there. Just because you don't remember it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So these meditative state brings you to those places. And it was sad. It was sad to see the versions of me. And I did a couple. I've done many sessions of seeing the younger versions of myself that were, scared and trauma and, feeling alone and lost and and then integrating those versions of me back, like, hey, no, I got this. I'm the adult now. You don't have to be the scared child anymore. And I kid you not, I even did healing with my father, who is in spirit. But I got my father and my 5-year-old, and this was a different session. And I just had them, like, him hold her. And because my dad was a very closed off man, he couldn't show his emotions like he wanted to. I never really felt like he loved me. Even though when I got older, I look back and I'm like, I could see that he loved me. There was just things that he didn't do. Like, he never hurt me. He never hit me. Even though him and my mom, like, he used to really hit my mom and beat my mom at times, you know? But he never did that to me. He never laid a hand on me as a kid or as an older child, you know? So it was these things that I had to understand about him. He seemed very cold, but he didn't know how to love. No one showed him how to be affectionate. No one showed him how to be nurturing. His mother wasn't nurturing. So there was these things I had to realize about him that he could not show me. But it was so beautiful to see, even though I didn't get to see that in this life, to see it in the meditation, my father with my 5-year-old self, and then playing, they were playing in like a field of fucking, you guys know those little wish, you blow on them, the little flower thing you blow and make a wish. I used to love those as a kid, so they were playing in those. And that made me cry just to see that beautiful healing and release. And it was huge release to that. And it's powerful, you guys. The reason why I'm sitting in the seat and I look so good, you guys like, oh my God, you're glowing and all this, is because of the work that I've done, the release that I've done. And so now when I'm doing dandelion, and now when I'm doing healing work, guess who's with me in the healing work? My 5-year-old self is with me, and she's always giving flowers because she loved flowers. She loved sunflowers. I still love sunflowers. It's my favorite, probably my favorite plant. Flowers, sunflower over everything. Okay. Women like roses. I love roses too, but they're not my first choice. Okay. So, she's constantly giving little flowers to everyone, little sunflowers or little dandelions. And I actually love dandelions. So it's neat to see that now, because I still have to work with my 15-year-old. I've just, after a couple of years, and my 15-year-old self, she's the one who's been the most trauma in this life. She has not trusted me for years. Okay. She's just to the point where I did a meditation, I want to say a month ago. And I finally got her to just kind of smile, kind of smile, kind of smile. Right. Yeah. Lilies is my other one, Renee. If you guys see on my tattoo, butterflies and lilies are on there. So lilies is my other one. Sunflowers. I'm gonna get my next tattoo will have a sunflower on it. But those are my favorite flowers. They're not, yeah, roses are cool, but that's not my fave. So she's always giving these flowers to everyone. Like, here you go. And it's cute because I see her giving the flowers to my 50-year-old, and the 50-year-old's like, whatever. But it's crazy to see this in these meditative states. And you're like, oh shit, like, oh shit. Divergent, you've done the guided inner child meditations. Yeah. And you know what? Crying is the good part because that's releasing. And if your child is cowering and angry, that's still a lot of trauma that the child is doing. The thing is, you've neglected your child version of yourself. So they're not going to be as open to just run to you. They're not going to trust you. And that hurts even worse because you're like, I mean, we're doing good. Why don't you trust me? Right. You just got to keep working at Divergent, or maybe get a facilitator. Maybe get a facilitator to help you. And you don't have to remember it. I'm telling you, when you get into these meditative states, not necessarily do you have to go back to the trauma. The whole point is not going back to the trauma. You don't need to go back to the molestation. You don't need to go back to, those points. It's going to the child, wherever the child is. And so you want to bring that child version. They're going to show you where they are. Now, if they show you that moment, it's something that you need to see about that moment. But you're going to find the child, and where is the child? So if that child is most likely, they're usually cowering, they're usually hidden, they're usually, sad and secluded. Um, so good morning, Boo. So, a lot of times, I like lotuses too. That's why I got the lotus right here. That would be my other one. But you can't find lotuses at the flower shop because, they got to be on a pond and shit. So I stand by meditative state healing. If you guys ever want to do a healing, I actually have a one-on-one healing. I think I have it $35 right now, the deal. I'm going to extend the deal through April. If you look under other spiritual services, it's the guided healing meditation, and it's $35 if you want to start. The thing is, you got to realize it's not going to be one session. I've done several fucking sessions over a course of a few years. And the reason being is because you can't handle all that pain in one session. You can't. And especially if you've been through a lot. I've been through a lot of trauma in my life, you know, so I've had to do quite a few. And like I said, I'm still working with the 15-year-old version of myself, still working with her. She's still very hurt. But at that time, she lost a lot. She's the one who lost the baby. She's the one who lost her family because the baby daddy at the time um, came up right after her baby died with a whole new kid that was a month apart, that was born a month apart. There was a lot that happened to her. There was no one gave a shit that she lost a child. It was like she was pushed to just go back and be a regular teen. And so she had to try to integrate back to school after losing a kid. And she had to try to function like a normal teenager. And it was just like too much for her. So there's a lot going on with her. She went into a self-destructive mode and made a lot of bad choices, and, got very promiscuous and drugs, and went down the wrong path, should we say. So there's a lot with her that I still got to work through, that she's still very ashamed of, and feels very guilty of. And so there's still a lot to work with her. But if you keep doing it, again, like I said, I finally got her not to smile, but I got her to jump in the water with me and the 5-year-old. The 5-year-old, there was a turning point. The reason why the 5-year-old is there was a turning point in my life at 5, right? And my dad, I believe at 5, my dad went to jail. I was a daddy's girl. Even though my dad was not good at showing love, I was actually a daddy's girl. My mom and me never got along. We never were close. I was not on my mom's hip. We were not close at all. I didn't even breastfeed with her. I kind of rejected her, and that kind of started a thing of she doesn't like me kind of energy. I just did not, I just didn't function. I remember moments of, going to the store with my dad or walking with my dad. I also remember being in the police car with my dad, getting picked up by the police with my dad and them taking us home and shit. Luckily, they didn't arrest him. They just took him home. Yeah, Debbie, theta healing is another one. I released a lot of healing in theta session. That's another profound one. Past life regression, I did a lot of work in that one. I just didn't. I was in the beginning of my path, so I did not get to do a lot of work because it wasn't time. Yeah. And the thing about working with your kids is just getting them to understand things, working through their problems, because just because you feel it's like, man, I wanted your life to be better. And I know, like, me and my daughter have done a lot of healing work together, because even though I wanted her life to be different, fuck, if things didn't kind of, go down some of the same hills as my fucking parents, and probably worse, because then she didn't have her dad, in her life. So it was like a lot of different things we had to work through healing, but it's being honest and allowing your kids to be safe and talk to you about what's going on with them. You know what? The thing about a divergent is, when my 15-year-old also, I know she doesn't believe me because I took so long to get on my healing path. I took so long to stop hurting myself. And when we don't think about this, every time you call yourself stupid, every time you say I'm fat, every time you say, oh, I'm dumb, every time you say I'm not smart, you are demeaning your inner child. So your inner child, when you say, oh, I have you, I'm here for you, I support you, but you're calling yourself stupid, oh, I'm a fucking idiot, you're not showing up for your inner self. And the thing about it, your inner self, your child self, those selves will fucking rat on you. They'll tell you, yeah, you're not true to what you say. You said you'd be there for me, but you're still calling me this. You said you'd be there for me, but you haven't. So that's one of the things that I had to understand. I had to stop calling myself names because I was still referring to the 15-year-old decades, right? She was so stupid then. Man, I was so dumb then. Man, this, that, and I kept referring to. So you've demeaned your own self for so many years. And now that self is looking at you like, okay, you said you have me, but you're still calling me names. You're still hurting me. You're still embedding that hurt deeper and deeper and deeper. So you have to remember showing up for self and self-love is you stop demeaning yourself. You stop looking at the younger versions of yourself. You start to understand that the mistakes that they made, it wasn't because they were stupid. It wasn't because they were dumb. They were operating with the information that they had at the time. You have to change your language to self. Your inner child will never fucking trust you if you cannot show compassion to what they've been through. So if you're still looking at it a certain way or you're still saying it a certain way, that's why your inner self doesn't trust you. There's a lot, going on down there that we have to understand, and we have to change the way that we are talking about ourselves and to ourselves, right? I think so, Corey. I think I'm not going to say we all do because I've connected with some very inconsiderate ass past loved ones. Um, I don't think everyone elevates in their ghostness. Okay. I don't think everyone elevates. I think there's some people that elevate and some people are just as shitty as they were when they fucking died. They didn't get the memo. They'll be coming back to repeat this shit. Yeah. Hi, Sue. Right, Mandy. Awesome. I love that. Yeah. And Divergent, that was one of the things that I was missing because no one was telling me that part. They're telling me about healing, they're telling me about doing that. And it wasn't until I met these phenomenal healers like Cynthia Glitman or Nicole Laswell, you guys have seen her on here also, that were like, no, you got to change the way you're saying that and remove that. And I did a lot of work with Cynthia in 2020 that made me realize that I was still demeaning my younger selves. Like, oh shit, I didn't understand that I was still demeaning that side of me. I was still looking at that side like, oh, you were so fucking stupid, I was so dumb. And I had to do work with my 20 something year old person, because at 20 something I was like, man, you were so stupid, you let your, you went through all this shit with your baby daddy and you let yourself go through this, like how could you do that, like really being critical. And I had to like show some love to her, like, man, she was operating on what she thought was best in her life at that time. She didn't know, right? So we have to go back and we have to do that healing and we have to be more compassionate and we have to stop demeaning our past selves. They're not stupid. They're not dumb. You're not fat. You're not an idiot. And I hear it all the time where people are like, oh, I'm just not smart enough. No, you're smart. Stop telling yourself that. You're doing the same shit that people did to you when you were a child. You're basically, because you think you feel stupid. So you just like, joke it off. Like, oh, I'm just a blonde. Oh, I'm just stupid. I used to do that. Oh, I'm just a natural blonde. That went over my head, and it's because when I was young, people made me feel stupid because I would take a minute to process. Like if I was slow, and I'm very intelligent, but that's how I was meant to feel. I was meant to feel like I wasn't smart. I wasn't top. I wasn't an honor roll student. I didn't give a shit about school, actually. I liked arts and being outside and playing. I didn't like, I didn't give a shit about school. It didn't interest me and I wasn't impressed. It was just like, whatever. But I was meant to feel like I was dumb, I was stupid, and I was like slow. If I'd have all the titles of today, man, I'd be getting a check. That's what I'd be getting. But I'm actually very fucking intelligent. I just process differently, you know? So we have to stop talking to ourselves. Good morning, Betty. We have to start talking to ourselves in the way that the people talk to us, our family, our parents, people around us that teased us. We have to stop doing the same thing that they did. So once you start to learn that, you can stop referring to your younger self as that. Oh, that, how could I was so stupid. How could I let that man do me like that? How could I let that woman do me like that? No, you were operating on what you felt was best in the moment. Doesn't matter how you realize the error of your ways. Okay. So compassion is key. To be compassionate to your younger versions of self. Forgive them, forgive you. And that's where the forgiveness comes into it. We think we have forgiven until you realize that you're still demeaning the younger version of yourself. You haven't forgiven yourself if you're still talking to your younger version of yourself like that. Okay. So with womb healing, is not just about, oh, women in their womb. It's about the trauma that we've picked up on in there from our parents. There's a lot going on in there. You have picked up a lot. So men, I encourage you to try it, not because you have a womb, but to do the baby, maybe the baby timeline one. Because that one will show you the stuff that you picked on in the womb, stuff that your mom went through in the womb that you're like, oh shit, I didn't even realize. She's never even said that, because most of our parents don't tell us half the shit they went through. I learned that with my daughter. There's a lot of things that I was carrying that up until a couple years ago when we started doing our healing that I hadn't even told her. She didn't know I was molested. She didn't know I was raped. There was all of these horrible shit that happened. She didn't know even the half of the story with me and her father. And she was just like, I mean, when I was talking to her, telling her a lot of stuff, she was like, Mom, why didn't you tell me any of this? And I was just like, I didn't think I needed to. I didn't think it was relevant. I always said if something happened to you, I would tell you, if it came up, I would say it. But if not, I wouldn't bring it up. And I was like, I didn't think a kid needed to know my traumas and my shit that happened to me. And she was just like, it just would have made a big difference. I wouldn't have been so angry at you. And she was so angry at me because she couldn't understand me. She couldn't understand why I was sometimes cold or distant, and she couldn't understand sometimes just the type of mom I was. Even though I was very loving, there was a lot of things that she couldn't understand, and she was mad at me for a very long time. And she was just like, I would have looked at you different if I knew what you had been through. And I was just like, damn. I think the thing about molestation and rape, we don't want to talk to our children because we feel like we don't want to open them up to something that we don't want to happen. But I can tell you, if you sat your child down, like, man, I was molested, and this is why I tell you, if someone touches you, blah, 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 that reality, like, oh shit, this happened to my mom. She's not just crazy. She's not just being crazy. She's not just not letting me go over people's house for no reason. It's that this is something that happened to me and hurt me. I think the conversations need to be, we're so afraid to have these conversations, but the shit is happening anyway. Your children, not to say your children, but there's children out there that are being molested regardless. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do because they don't think anybody will understand. They don't think anyone else is going through it. The crazy part about it is majority of us and our parents have been molested. Okay. Men included. It's not just women, men included have been molested. And so we're so afraid to talk about it, but our kids need to know that this is real. This is something that happens. And once the reality, like, oh shit, this happened to my parent. But most of the time, parents haven't been open with it. This is why we don't have a conversation. Only few people knew about my molestation, if that. I probably could count on one hand about how many people knew I was molested as a kid. Never talked about it. Never thought I was something I should talk about. So if you haven't even talked about it, you won't talk about it with your kids, and it'll just stay that dirty secret in the fucking closet that you've never dealt with, that you've never talked about, right? And I never let my daughter go, especially young, to a friend's house. It was like, no, no. And then when she got to like 8, it was like, all right, maybe, okay. I'm like, oh, all right, you can go stay at your friend's house. Okay. But there was a lot to it that my daughter just did not understand why I was the way I was. And if we would have had these conversations, she could have been like, oh, this is a real thing. This is she's not saying it just to fucking say it. She's saying it because it happened. It's different when it's happened. Most kids just think their parents are overbearing and fucking over the top and don't want them to have fun until you have these very serious conversations of what real life looks like. Because real life, there's a potential of your child being prey to a predator. There's predators everywhere. And if you've been molested, you fucking know. I wasn't molested by an adult. I was molested by a child that was a couple years older than me. That was the first. So it's not just adults that are got stuff going on. Sometimes it's teens. Sometimes it's friends of the family that are young. So we have to kind of take that step back and be honest with ourselves and say, you know what? This is a conversation that we need to have. Your children are very fucking intelligent. They're very smart. You can have these conversations, but most parents are afraid because children tell everything. Most parents are afraid that now this child will tell people about the molestation. People will know my dark, dirty secret. So you have to be willing to put your shit out there because we know kids tell everything. And that's why most people don't tell their children. It's because they haven't been honest about it. They don't talk about it. It's not something that's out there. It wasn't until I was older, like really older, that I even think I told my mom about being molested. Like she didn't fucking know. Never did she know, you know. So right, 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 right. And sometimes you will be. If you have been someone who's been hurt, you will be overprotective. You just will. There's no way. I used to be like fucking A, and then you still, because even sometimes it happens from people that are very close and we think we can trust people. And there's still these moments where it's like, damn, I thought I could trust this person. We hear it all the time. And that's one of the biggest guilts and shames about it, is because normally it's someone close to the family. Right. And the thing is, you can say it all day long, but if you don't, you could say it. You just got to ask yourself, why am I not telling them what I went through? My experience is valid, and I went through it, right? So it's kind of like, okay, I went through this experience. This is why. I'm not trying to be overprotective, but it's a real thing that can happen. I need you guys to stay alert, because there's predators everywhere. There just are. And it's not just men predators. There's women predators also who prey on boys, and there's men who prey on boys. And so I think we don't have these conversations enough. So your younger versions of yourself need you to be honest and open and share this information to get it out, heal, and then your younger selves will start to trust you. But there's a lot going on inside and with our other versions. Yeah, Lashina. And it's hard, when a situation like that, especially with the disowning, not believing, because the thing about it is, if you are someone who's been raped by like a grown man, right? And that grown man was related to someone in the family, uncle, sometimes father. I've had clients that been raped, molested by their father, things like that. It's like, how could this person, right? And the woman that is connected to that person has to go through denial of, how could I be with a person that would do this? No woman wants to believe that they somehow did not see signs in a man that would hurt their child. You gotta, like, as the person that's gone through, you gotta kind of take a step back and be like, damn, I can't imagine sitting in that seat, because you're in you. I'm the one hurt. I went through this shit. But the woman tethered to the man, no woman wants to believe that. Unfortunately, a lot of women will stay in denial. They just can't accept that part. I've seen it in a lot of situations. It's a very hard thing to accept that I chose a man that would hurt my child, right? Or even like, and I'm talking about real fathers have done this to people, right? It's like, what the fuck? So to be in that space, to have to one accept that is very hard. Not a lot of people are willing, and I don't want to say willing, because you would have to accept the fact that this person that you chose, that you love, is this monster. That's not an easy space to be in. Okay. So if you still got some stuff in there that you got to work through, try to just remember that on that part. Yes, you are the one who suffered the most. You are the one who went through it. You are the one who was attacked. You are the one who had to try to live with all the shit that came with it. But the person on the other side also has to deal with how could I? And the guilt and shame to that is huge, huge. It's one of the things I've worked with quite a few ladies, um, and it's heartbreaking on all sides. It's heartbreaking to go through it. Um, right. So you just opened up a couple years ago. Yeah. Right. So your mom definitely has some stuff going on, Sakori. Betty, aw, I'm gonna send you big hugs, boo. It's not easy. It's not easy to admit it, you know? I will tell you sometimes it's not like people won't understand in the mind frame of where you're at. When I got raped, I had to go to the doctor. The doctor wanted to call the police. I for some reason got into this whole fear of what would happen next. I just was like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. You know, I don't know what happened. I just was like, I'm okay. I just shut down. It was the craziest thing. So we don't really get sometimes like, what the fuck? What was that for? And they were like, if you don't do it now, it's like there's a whole kit and all this shit that you got to go through. But it was a lot. It was a lot, you know. So it's none of this is easy. None of it is easy to go through. None of it is easy to heal. Sometimes we think we're in our right mind. We don't fucking know if we're in our right minds. We don't know why. We're just scared or the fear or what anything that the shame. It's normally shame and embarrassment of even having to talk about why it happened. I'd have to explain, where I was at and what I was doing. I put myself in a really fucked up position. And then it was just all of this shit going on in my head. And it was like, okay, no, I'm good. I'm good. You know? Right. Divergent. You had a lot to work through, boo. Right. And even as someone who's being molested, again, we're in our like was the one molested, but what is going on in that other child, especially when you're being molested by a child, you're being molested by another kid, even if they're a little bit older than you, what's going on in this child? Who molested this child to where they're feeling like they need to do what they're doing? When I think back of around the age when I was molested. I was 8. That was the first time, or I was about 8, and there was a kid a couple years older than me. And when I look back at that, I'm like, what was going on with this kid that felt that this was playtime? You know what I mean? Like what the fuck? It makes me wonder. And I do think they need therapy because they're not doing it just because, okay, that's the thing. There's something wrong with this person. There's something very wrong with the person that will molest a child, even if it's another potential kid that's a couple years different. Oh, right. Kids are very fucking smart. Right, Betty. Right, right. Yeah, it is. It is. It sometimes you have to, and that that's a part of your healing. If you can't get to that point to openly talk about it, to openly discuss it, to openly, say, this happened to me, even because parts of it we feel guilty. We feel like parts of it is our fault. We feel like parts of it, maybe there's something I did, or maybe there's something that I initiated, or maybe, there's something that it's my fault. And so you have to work through those pieces. And that's why your younger versions of yourself are still mad at you, still not trusting, because you're still blaming yourself in some of these aspects. You're still very shameful in some of these aspects. And so anytime you stay in these energies, remember your younger versions are feeling it. Your younger versions aren't safe with you yet. Okay. Because you're not safe with you yet. And I can't tell you that I am fully healed from that stuff, because it's something that happened. It's something that is there. I have worked through it, to where it doesn't affect my sex life. It doesn't affect um, how I operate intimately. I have worked through that part of it, but there is moments where it's still there. It's not going to go anywhere. But those versions of me that went through that, I've done the healing with those versions. And so my 8-year-old self, I've done healing with my 8-year-old self for her to understand, and that I got her, and we're in charge and nothing like that. I would ever let that happen. But there's sometimes it's not that you let it happen, um, that, they're secure and they're safe. But again, you got to get into those spaces. It's a very cool. Try some energetic healing, you guys. Try some guided meditations. You'll be surprised at what comes out for you. You'll be surprised at what you see. Even men, those men that are watching me, that you've been through this, and my heart goes out to each and every one of you that have been through some trauma, rape, or molestation that you've been holding on to, that you haven't talked to. And we know that there's no help for men out there. There's no help for men to be open, because the second a man starts to talk about what he's been through, he's called names. Um, and there is no real fucking assistance for men. Women have a hard time talking about it, and it's more normal, and it shouldn't fucking be normal for us to go through this shit. But it is more normal for a woman to talk about it and deal with it versus a man. And so I hope that more men start to open up about their traumas, to deal with them, to understand that the little boy in you needs you, and that he's still suffering within. And that's why you have a lot of, especially if you have a lot of shit in your relationships or shit, and there's things in your life, you're like, why do I keep going through the same things? It's all connected. And divergency, that's the thing. That's why I believe our traumas are connected to our health. And I do believe that everything, and I know science is a thing, you guys. I know they that science is a thing, and they say this, that, and the third, but I believe everything that manifests festers from within us. All of these diseases, viruses, all of this shit, I feel like it festers from inner shit from us. And it's just what triggers it. What is triggering it? Which trauma is triggering this? And some people live life like, I'm good. I'm good. I moved past it. I don't need to heal. And I just don't believe that. I believe that the shit inside of us, if we do not do something with it, it will affect us. I know I had a lot of issues with my uterus, with my feminine, ovaries and all that for fucking decades, because of the guilt, the shame, and the trauma in the womb. I had a lot of issues for decades. And no matter what I did, no matter what treatment I got, it was like the body was screaming at me, like, you need to heal this place. Pay attention. Your body is going to speak to you. The only way your body can speak to you physically is through illnesses. You guys do realize that, right? Your body can't speak to you any other way but to tell you, hey, aches and pains here. There's something here. You need to pay attention to this area of your life, what's going on. And if you go into these sections of your body, every piece of your body or your organs has a lot going on, what it connects to, um, what um, what possibly traumas could have happened. Right, 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 right. Yeah, well, don't think that, you know. You're good. I feel like if this is where you feel like you need to get some shit off your chest, get it off your chest. Talking about this shit releases it, okay? And I think you just have to let go of that fact of his life was more important than yours, because it wasn't. And maybe you need to get with that 11-year-old and let her know that it wasn't. Everything I you when we go through it, we can't see both sides. We can't. We can't see both sides, because it's like I'm the one who got affected. But again, the other person is affected in some ways, shape or form. Whether they're the ones that did it, there's shit going on with that other person. So as a healer, I have to I look at things from both sides, both parties. And it's not to take away what you went through, but there is multiple sides of every situation, every trauma, everything that we go through. And that is how you're going to heal, by taking off of what was done just to you and understanding that there's multiple levels in it, right? Should you have got therapy? Fuck yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, you should have got therapy. So, wound trauma is a thing, you guys. Your moms, your grandmothers, your great grandmother, and on has been through some shit, right? And more than likely, it's been passed on through all of us, male and female, because the male, you sit in that womb and you sit in that trauma and you incubate in that trauma. So um, you're not secluded from this just because you don't have a womb. You were born in that womb. You were created in that womb, and you lived in that womb. And so in that womb, you've taken on a lot of your generational bullshit from there. And so it is up to us to get smart and share this information and start to do the work. And those of you who start to do it, if you take the videos that I popped in the comments, if you start to do the work, and let me know how it's going. Let me know how your meditation is. And like I said, if you ever want to get into a short meditation with me, I do short ones right now. I'm not doing long ones. But if you want to get in, book it. Let's test it. Let's get there. Because I have done this and I stand by it. And it has helped me release so much shit from my life. And it's also like the healing that's happened between me and my father, even though he's passed on, is profound. He's not trapped and stuck in this grief energy with me, you know? It's crazy, but it happens oh so much. And again, you got to look at that. Most likely that dad raped his son. You know what I mean? It's just most likely that's the story behind it. But again, men can't talk about it. Men can't say so and so raped me. What man could say that anybody would look at them and take them seriously? Not many people. Not many people are compassionate enough to be like, damn, that's fucked up. Let's work through that. Even women are shitty to men, and then a lot of women use it against the man. So it's a lot of shit. I hope we can change that. I hope we can do some changes.